talking about how Warner didn't kick people off the pedestal of how empowered Warner was to make a difference for the planet, and like, why would you? Um, that would be disempowering to Warner. So why would he say, I don't know, we'll continue.
So Werner had a temper. So if the guy at the top yells, then it's okay for everybody to yell. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I think that you're making a temper or anger something that's wrong or bad, and that's just a thing that people deal with. So you're like blaming Warner's temper on making the difference in millions of people's lives. That temper made a difference for millions of people's lives. Like what? And he didn't have a bad temper most of the time. Just about as frequently as anybody else has temper issues.
That's just the way it is. Yeah. Shit rolls downhill. But I think you just expressed.
Yes, you're talking about the law of the lid and lead by example, etc. And I understand where you're coming from this. And if someone is their word, then there is no reason for a temper. It's only when someone has self-destructive behavior and you know you have the tools to have that person see their own self-destructive behavior and choose that or not. And and by raising their voice a little bit, they made that difference. I mean, it's like that person wouldn't give it up for anything. So to blame his temper is, it just seems to me like the both of you have been raised and are a little bit more on the shy or introverted end of things, and
It's obvious, but more important than shit rolling downhill is there's something.
And you want to I don't know, complain about it behind closed doors. I mean, now completely public on YouTube for the world. And I don't know, it just doesn't compute. It's like, oh yeah, this thing was the best thing I've ever done, but super concerned for something that never happened.
Thing about the way we work as humans, we recreate what we see as, and I think this is one of the most challenging things, Alan, for people to understand. Whether we're talking about Landmark, which is mild compared to a lot of other destructive
No,
groups.
it's not mildly. You're saying that Landmark's mildly destructive, or they're mildly compared to a destructive group? Like, what are we even doing here?
Right? Yeah. And
It's not destructive at all. How can you put this in your title and talk about it? And you're like, oh, well, it's from my point of view. It's like, yeah. And you could also ask Scientologists or other cult members about their point of view and get in their world, as opposed to keep on reverting back to what you think is wrong about Landmark.
The question always is, they could have left. They could have walked out. Why did they not walk out? And that's a big question, and it's got a lot of answers. And so I'm curious. So there, and I think you just spoke to one aspect of it, which is, well, if the leader, and remember, we have a different, how we're viewing leadership now versus how we were viewing it in 1982. But if the leader is doing that and getting adoration, fame, influence, money, all of the things that we measure success by, and here we're coming into the 80s and 90s, which is the time of Wolf of Wall Street. Everything's about production and effectiveness, success, and unlimited, potential, and all of this stuff. If we're seeing that, then we're going like, well, I want me some of that. And we're still seeing it in society today. We have people, looking at who I think is one of the most nonsensical, serious leaders ever. But I've had very good friends of mine that are very smart people go, but isn't he so strong? Isn't he just so? Yeah. I'm like, no. Yeah. But how they see and I see are different. And then if I want some of that, even more importantly, even if I don't want that, I just want to be a part of this community so that I can do.
Can you just super generalizing here? It sounds like you're
a certain amount of something.
Criticizing leaders out in the world, and then you're like roping it back into having something to do with Landmark or Warner. It's just like,
I think for all of us human beings, when you have a goal in mind and you think the goal is a good goal, you can fall prey to saying the ends justify the means.
I mean, no. There's no ends justifying the means.
Yes. Oh, very good. I just think it's that simple. Yes, when I say go along to get along, I think that's what I was trying to talk about, right? Like that was my version of it. Like, I'm gonna go along.
You're making it seem like they're money hungry and they're getting people involved so that they can make more money. It's like, this has nothing to do with the money. Please. I understand how you could think that. I understand how there's a lot of copies, fakes, phonies that charge money, and Landmark is not. It's the real deal.
Along to get along, but why am I doing that?
And it's worth every penny. And like my happiness doesn't, my peace of mind, my freedom from anxiety, resentment, regret, my wealth, my health, my wisdom, there's no price to put a price on that. It's just ludicrous.
Because I think there's a bigger purpose. I think there's a bigger possibility at play. Yeah. Wow. And I've known
this lady made a difference in 1,000 people's lives. That is the possibility at play. And for you to negate that or stop future people from considering that is like anti
since 19 that all human beings have faults. All organizations have faults because they're made up of human beings.
Yes, and they've learned and grown and changed and transformed and altered and shifted, and they're listening to every complaint that you have, and they made a difference with it. Unless you're going to complain about something that works for them, in which case they're not going to stop doing that. They're going to continue because it works for them and it works for everybody that participates there. And it seems to not work for you because you're making things like counting measures and counting how many people signed up for the course make that mean something about you, which it doesn't.
So the question is,
and what development could you get out of some statistics versus other statistics?
I support the mission of the organization. Yes. Did I like the means they were using? No.
Like what? Stop being so vague and talking about the means and then never telling me exactly what happened. It's just I don't understand.
Well, what am I going to do? I'm going to try to change it. So I spent 32 years.
And I do understand, but I just like with the level of training that you two have, I don't know. Like I don't know.
I didn't go along to get along yet. Yeah. I spent 32 years being a pain in the ass for most of the people.
Yeah, and that's the way that you were in the forum. So can you see that's a you thing that has nothing to do with Landmark?
Who tried to manage me as I called things into question that didn't make sense and didn't resonate with my values. Now, the thing that I'm the most...
Please tell me the thing that didn't resonate with your values.
About that's happened in the last 32 years is when I actually was with a staff member in an office who was a chronic liar. There was nothing. She would lie about everything all the time. And she was wonderful, but she just lied. Why? Because in that environment where there's a pressure to produce results, your ego will take over. And when you're threatened, you think lying is a good option. It's a survival strategy. Exactly. So, and I had failed at correcting her from lying. And I said, listen, you're not going to stop lying until, and I put my hands around it. This is what I did in 1980.
Is this the abuse that you want to talk about, Ann? The guy that you're interviewing is the guy that was the only abuser that you can say other than someone getting hit in the elbow one time?
I'm confessing now.
In the arm one time?
Patience has expired. She's forgiven me if I've apologized. But I put my hands around it. I said, you have to want to stop lying as much as you want your next breath. And I did that. And now, what sort of crazy person would do that except if they're in an environment where some sort of behavior like
you're calling yourself and your own thing crazy now? Bro, you chose to put your hands around somebody and say what you said, and like you could have just said that. You didn't have to put her hands on her.
Excuse, because you have a good intention. And
no, it's not. You clearly weren't being happy and fun or whatever it is that you are committed to being in that conversation, or else you wouldn't have put your hands around somebody, even if they are a liar. It's like you're fired. The decision's already been made, or what's up? Do you see when the first time you lied or saw? I don't know. But it's not
the deeper in you and I know.
Not putting your hands around someone and thinking that by saying you have to want to lie by wanting your next breath and making that metaphor like think that you're going to impact somebody. Like I don't see that as an effective strategy. I see maybe that as like a reminder, a gentle reminder in a public place where I want to say in front of everybody, but not at the thing that's actually going to make the thing that's actually going to make the difference is, do you remember the first time you lied? Maybe, you know what I mean? Maybe it's an access to it.
You know, there's a deeper reason it was excused, which is because what we now know, and we've known a few points along the way, which is another point I find interesting, but right now we're in a time culturally and in our society where a kind of abuse is no longer tolerable. That was tolerable. And, but we know that the leader of the organization, that was...
Now you're making it seem like they used to do something that was abusive, but now it's no longer tolerable. So now they don't do it anymore. It's like, okay.
One of their core moves was to choke people. And that's been documented.
Yeah, so we got to... I know, and I looked this up already. No, it's documented where, Anne? In the smear book that was published by someone that all of their sources have turned out to be incorrect or to be manipulative to get them, and then they manipulated that person into saying something bad about them. It's just so wild. I have everything I want in my life, but were you manipulated as like a little bit? Like they're abusing people. Were you abused? It's like, first of all, they weren't abusing people. That's just your like opinion of watching somebody, and then you want to like tell some gossip about something that never happened to someone else, and then make them believe that there was abuse there. It's just like, don't tell me it's documented and then don't provide the documentation. Come on.
It's in books, it's in my book. But I didn't even know that at the time. I'm just saying me, a good guy, with good intentions, pure heart. I did that in that environment. I'm not blaming the environment at all. I did it.
Yeah, but it definitely, you can see like the aspects that get into the culture.
No. Now Mark wants to come in and blame the environment.
of any group that have to do with whether it's these physical things or just the way of speaking, the way of interacting with people, just it becomes part of the culture. Yeah. And then, and people would say, oh, if you were on a sports team, the way they would treat you in a locker room, they might do this, and make all these to justify it. And again, I'll go on record, in my view, putting your hand on another person, screaming at them, is never justified.
Okay, so why did you do it? And why don't you just take responsibility for it and stop trying to shift the blame onto somebody else?
Never. It's a result of...
And say that it was quote unquote in the culture. It's like, you're like so vague.
Your frustration. It's not a useful tool to empower people. When you scream at people, they have an amygdala response.
And I love you all. I'm not trying to come down on you guys. I'm just saying there's certain things that I got out of the first 5 days of the forum that it just seems like you guys are like, I don't know, you're not present to it. I don't really know.
You're not going to get the best out of them. They're going to be threatened. But when would you say that you became aware of that? So, like I said, we can always only kind of look from hindsight in a way, right? And I do want to acknowledge the audience listening. One of the things I do happen to know about.
It's just your framing is so wild. So when was the first time that you realized that you were being abused? It's like, what kind of tactic is this? It's like, okay, I love you all. Peace, love, peace. Well, we'll